Hello, welcome to Healing Eve. Dr. Obi Ida here, and you are loved, you are enough, and you are unique. Today we shall be continuing our discussion on contraception, and we want to look at the effect of not having children in your 20s and 30s, not directly, maybe due to contraception, but that educational and economic empowerment that young women are encouraged to adopt opens up a trend in which they are advised to freeze their eggs for later fertility. Now, what does that process actually entail? Well, first of all, you will have to take hormones and a pretty decent dosage of those hormones to supercharge your ovaries and get them stimulated more than they normally would, because you're not going to go through this procedure and go and store just a few eggs. Oh no, you need to be able to store at least double digits to make the process worth your while. And so you're going to have to take much larger doses of hormones at levels that are higher than natural for your body to be able to develop those number of eggs. So once you've done that, then you go in for a medical procedure in which a long needle is inserted through your vagina into your abdomen, and eggs are now sucked out and then frozen. Now, medical interventions can be safe most of the time, but there's always a risk of puncturing and injuring some internal organ. Be that as it may, we're not really focusing on surgical mishaps. What is the process once you've frozen these your eggs and you continue climbing up that career ladder? You have signed on the dotted line with egg freezing that you will have children via in vitro fertilization. If you're unable to have children by yourself naturally, you have signed as IVF as a backup plan. Now, what you are then going to do is to have another round of those supercharged hormones when it is time for the IVF cycle, in the event that you do not get pregnant normally. As a NaProTechnologist, I would like to suggest a different pathway. First of all, egg freezing is, in this particular instance, because there are medical indications for egg freezing in the literature. We're talking about elective egg freezing. One finds that the ethos of elective egg freezing is fertility as a something to be used. So when you are ready to use your fertility, then you can call up the eggs, and you may or may not be married by then. You might decide to use sperm donor. The thread that links all these artificial interventions is to see one's body as a tool, as an item to be used. To see one's body not as the gift that it is, but as a tool to lead to one's own happiness. Happiness is the ultimate human desire. However, accepting from a standpoint of giftedness one's body, one's fertility, and working cooperatively with it is the path to final and true fulfillment in life. When one is concerned about one's capacity to have children, one is inadvertently seeking fertility care. And that is the bedrock of the Creighton model fertility care system, where we teach young women to understand the language of their body, the biomarkers, how their bodies are telling them their fertility is doing. Teach young women to document these biomarkers so that they can track how their fertility is progressing. And using modern laboratory techniques and also hormonal preparations to work cooperatively with the woman to keep and maintain her fertility to the highest levels possible. Doing so, when one is finally ready, one is truly empowered to now begin one's family. I would like to invite all young women in their late 20s and 30s to investigate the Creighton model fertility care system and NaProTechnology as a viable, wholesome, holistic alternative to freezing their eggs. It allows you to truly be empowered, allows you to be grateful for the gift of your body, your fertility, helps us to be able to treat you if there some medical conditions show up, and leaves your hormonal system intact for when the right time comes for you to have your children. Now, for the small subset of women for whom egg freezing has been suggested because they have some medical condition, perhaps being treated for cancer, autoimmune disorders, consider that the effect of the drugs for which egg freezing is supposed to be a backup plan will not be known specifically or explicitly to you just by egg freezing. What Creighton model fertility care system will afford you who's going through some medical treatment is the ability to see what that treatment is actually doing to your body and to your fertility. So that if there are actual changes, you are able to see it. And once one is now done with the treatment, you can now start correcting it in a way that will cooperate with your body. That way, egg freezing becomes completely unnecessary. So, do your research. Anytime egg freezing is suggested to you, and always make sure that you look up the Creighton model fertility care system and NaProTechnology as one of your reproductive options. Thank you for staying with us, and see you next time. Remember, you are loved, you are unique, and you are enough.